Another piece of reader mail comes from Scott. He says, "Hello, what's good, peeps? My question for you is this. Are there any video games that you only dig out under certain circumstances? For example, whenever I was sick as a child, I would always end up playing Harvest Moon for some reason. Any similar examples from the host? Games you play when you're sad, you're mad, you're sick, over the moon? Love the show. Thanks, Scott." Thank you, Scott. So this is an interesting question. Britt, you clearly have something to say.
As you were reading that, I was thinking, and whenever there's like a lot going on or it's a stressful time in my life, Harvest Moon, nowadays, Story of Seasons, is always my go-to game as well. Because everything in that game is just so damn happy. There's nothing bad going on. It's just you and your farm and your animals and your freaking crops and the person you're trying to woo. And that's your life. And it's happy music. It's always like cheerful and bright. And that's definitely the game that if there's anything ever going on, it's like, I want to escape. That's the game I go to. Good choice. Skolt.
Steimer?
For the most part, with his reference to being sick, if I'm sick, I don't play games. I watch TV. Because I usually
need something passive.
Yeah, exactly. For me, games can be too active. Especially, it depends on how I'm sick. But for the most part, I just tend to not even. I watch Gilmore Girls on repeat. Which is
what?
But
like, how many times have you watched the series front to back? You don't want to admit it?
I don't know.
Or you don't know?
I don't know, and I don't necessarily watch them front to back. I like to skip around.
Okay.
So I usually just pull it up on Netflix and be like, yeah, that episode. Like kind of Russian roulette it, just see where I land. But yeah, so for me, if I'm feeling ill, I usually go to passive entertainment. If I'm feeling stressed or whatever, a good relaxation game that I like is very similar to Harvest Moon, Viva Pinata.
I knew it.
Now, that being said, I don't tend to even necessarily, I don't know. I'm not a person who I'm stressed out, I'm going to go play a game. That's just not what happens in my brain. If I'm stressed, again, I tend to go towards more passive. If I was going to play a game, it would be something Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley, or Viva Pinata. But that's not usually where I default. I usually default towards watching something that feels familiar, like old movies that I really enjoy. My Cousin Vinny, one of my favorites, that kind of stuff. And then I feel better. And then I can go play games again.
What about you, Alexa Ray?
Oh my God. This question, I saw it on the docket before we recorded today, and I went into my super deep thinking hole.
Well, if you need another minute.
No. I totally good. So I tend to gravitate towards the same video game when I just feel like nothing. I don't want to say when I feel like nothing is going right, but when I'm just having a tough time in general. Mm-hmm. As an example, I've had a really weird year. I found out I had an immune disorder, and that's why I'm getting sick all the time. I have an recurring injury that's keeping me down from certain things. I got laid off in the spring, and I've just been oh man, this is really awful. And for the past 10 or so years, I would always go back to the same game because no matter what happened in my life, I know I could go somewhere else to escape to another world that was infinitely weirder, dumber, and in cases shittier, that would help me sort of reorder the pieces of my actual life and just clear my head so I can come back to reality, I guess, with a more okay, this isn't so bad. How do I tackle this attitude? And that game is Final Fantasy X-2.
Really?
Which is weird.
I was not expecting that.
I know. I played that game at a time in my life when I was 14 or whatever. I was just discovering who I was as a young adult. So the Alexa now started blossoming, unfortunately, when she started playing Final Fantasy X-2, which is kind of sad but also weird. I don't know. So I played that game, and that's been through playing that game. I was going through that transitionary period where you go from being a kid to a teenager, and I was thinking about the life ahead of me and making the friendships that would stick with me for the rest of my life, and figuring out what I wanted to do with my life and what kind of work I wanted to do or to go to college, all of that. So that game for me at that time was my escape from, okay, I don't want to think about this right now. Everything is going weird. I want to go somewhere that's infinitely weirder and kind of weird, and I can just lose myself in it. And I think the reason that I keep returning to it over 10 years is because I know what to expect at this point. I know where to get the secret treasures. I know where to get the weird mascot outfit. I know what boss battle is coming. I know how to defeat them. I've played it so many times that to me it is like walking through a dance. I know what to expect and I know what's going to be there waiting for me on the other side. But it's something I can semi shut off while I play it, but still enjoy. And when I come out, I can be like, okay, I've done this thing. It's like working out. It's like a cathartic couple hours. And I can go back to the real world and say, okay, I'm not, changing outfits in the middle of the street and I'm not fighting giant monsters and like all my friends aren't like totally fucked up and weird. So I can do this and I can get into my shit and solve my problems. So to clear my head and to just make myself feel better when I feel like, oh, I can't deal with this anymore, I play Final Fantasy X-2.
So was it more of an escape or more of a this world is far shittier than my current world? Or did you resonate with anything in the game? Like what was it?
It's a little bit of both. The familiarity of this other world is what I guess, and I know how to work that world. Here, in the real world, everything, is unexpected. Things get thrown at you. There I know how everything works. I know exactly what I have to do. So I go and I complete my missions and I go, okay, I did it. I know I can do it here. I guess I can do it here. Also, that world is just super freaking weird. That story is so bad. I really hated the story in 10-2. I thought it was bizarre and weird. But I identify with the main character, Yuna, in sort of that she runs around solving everyone else's problems and sort of puts her in this situation of like, I'm going to put off what I have to deal with, which is the loss of, this person I love. And my world is totally changing. I'm just not going to deal with it. And I'm going to go hand out balloons to children and fight giant monsters and play chess for hours, which is kind of like what you do in that game. And I just like that idea. And I can't get on like an airship now and like go do it here, but I like that that game is bizarre and simple and I know what to expect from it. So it's sort of like, it's like my meatloaf of video games.
So if it had been any other game at the time that you had played, would that game be Final Fantasy X-2 to you? So do you think it was just a coincidence or do you think it was the game itself? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
I don't really know. I think it was just the perfect storm of both. Because another game that I replayed around that time that also I dig out when I'm like, I just need something to get me through today is I play Final Fantasy IX. Because that game is, I play that game in chunks because that story is, yeah, it's like, I know what to expect. I know where to get all the stuff. I know, when I can go to the swamp early and get Quina and everything's going to be okay. I gravitate towards those single player story games just because it's something that I've done before and I know I can do. And it's like, again, I don't have to really think too hard about it, but I can still enjoy it because I enjoy that story. So it's like my comfort food, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a very long-winded story. And I know you weren't expecting me to say Final Fantasy X-2 because that game is bizarre.
Yeah. What about you?
Mine is not nearly as intense as Alexa's. So I travel a lot for work, like a lot. And so I'm on planes all the time and I don't always want to bring like my 3DS or I used to bring my Vita, but I do bring my iPad pretty much on every single flight that I go on. And the one game that I only play on my iPad in an airplane is Candy Crush. Now, I resisted Candy Crush for a really long time. I was like, I'm not playing that. That's a garbage free-to-play game. I don't want to play this game. But man, it is so addicting. Now, I get why they've made billions of dollars with this
It's a good way to
game.
occupy your brain.
So here's at its core, it's a very simple match 3 mechanic. But what they've done so fantastically is they've utilized the swipe mechanics with sounds and like the getting the stripy candy and then being able to like get the
It's like Vegas.
It is. In the sense that, like you're always searching for that elusive chocolate ball because that'll like solve all of your problems until it
Don't
doesn't
they
solve
all?
your problems. And there's something about that game that is just, I don't want to say mind numbing, but it just is something you can do while doing other things. And it's okay. Like I'll listen to music or I'll like have a movie on if there's like a screen on the flight and I can still play Candy Crush while I'm doing that. And it's something I only do in an airplane. I don't play it in the airport like before I get on the plane. I don't play it at home. John plays it at home on the couch a lot.
How dare he?
Is that
No,
because
it's
you're
fine.
embarrassed? Why do you only play it on the airplane?
I don't know. I think it's because I have it downloaded on my phone, and I have played it like a couple of times when I've been waiting in line for things. But I'm not a person that plays games in the bathroom. I know a lot of people play games on their phone on the shitter. Like that's fine. That's cool for you. It's not my thing.
Takes your mind off the task at hand. Yeah. Shouldn't be difficult.
Yeah, I'm more of like a get in, get out kind of person.
Yeah, me too. I don't let it simmer.
You know, I don't linger.
I'm not
What's good pooping habits?
What's good poops? But so I only play like on an airplane, and I now have downloaded Candy Crush Soda Saga, I think it's called, Soda Crush or something. The one with the sodas.
Candy Crush soda shit.
And my problem though is that I get to the point where I want to spend money, but then because I'm in flight, I can't get access to the internet, and I have never brought myself to pay for the Wi-Fi just to get into the microtransactions. I did that once for
Double whammy to your wallet.
no, it is. I did that once for Hearthstone, and I admitted it publicly on Twitter. And someone was like, "Why didn't you just spend the money that you paid for Wi-Fi on buying like card packs?" And I was like, "That actually is that's a fair point you made there, sir."
So do you think it's kind of like comfort food for your flight? It's just something you've become accustomed to doing? Is that why?
No, I think it more is that like it's so consistent. I know that I can do it, and I know that it'll occupy my time, and it's something that I can do during takeoff, during landing, because you can always have your your mobile device out, and it's just always there, and the game just never changes. I mean, they make updates to the game, obviously, but I'm not that very far. Like some people are like really deep into that game, and I just like once my lives run out, I switch over to the soda version, and then once my lives are not there, if like my time hasn't refilled anything, then I put it down until for like another hour or so, and then I pick it back up once the lives have regenerated, and I keep going until they run out again, and then that's it. I'm done. And then once the flight's over, I put it away, and then I don't think about it until I get back on an airplane where I pull out the iPad and I start playing Candy Crush again. I don't know why I only play it on airplanes, but it's very soothing.
Yeah.
It's just like something simple that you can do to pass the time.
You're a big Tetris fan.
Yes.
So you kind of like these sorts of things.
Yes. And I probably should play Tetris on my iPad instead, because they now have a variety of different Tetrises you can get for mobile. But yeah, there's just Tetris. I feel like it's not something that you can. I mean, obviously you can just press pause and step away from it, but because it feels like unless you're playing endless mode in Tetris, like there's still like set levels. Candy Crush doesn't really feel like that. I feel like I can walk away from that level at any point and it's fine. I mean, strategically, you shouldn't do that because of the way that lives regenerate, but like, and they're time based, but you could. I don't know.
I've never played, so it's very
You've never once tried Candy Crush?
No, I've
I
resisted.
haven't either.
Have you played any match 3 game?
No.
Have you never tried Puzzles and Dragons?
No.
Well, you might like that actually.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot more RPG strategy in a game like that. And then Marvel Puzzle Quest is supposed to be pretty good as well. I've downloaded it, but again, that's another game that you need an internet connection or a mobile signal to play. So,
Well, maybe once I finish one of the 10 games I'm currently juggling.
well, you can
try.
borrow my copy of Puzzle and Dragons if you want. Puzzles and Dragon or Dragon and Puzzles?
I think it's Puzzle and Dragons.
it's dragons plural. I always get it wrong.
Definitely plural dragons. I'm not
You
sure
want
about puzzles.
You
Puzzle and
want
Dragons.
mini
Puzzle
dragons.
and Dragons.
So yeah,
Puzzle and Dragons.
so thank you very much for your question, Scott. We appreciate when you guys write to us, whether you communicate on social media or you email us. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to reach out and talk to us. So, ladies, I think that's probably going to do it for this week's show. Next week we will be back, all 4 of us. Right? No one's out of town. Somebody's out of town.
No.
No, we're all here.
Wow, yeah.
Fantastic. That's lovely. With summer travel, it sometimes is a little bit confusing and difficult. But once again, I want to remind you, since it is the end of the month, it's not too late to get in for next month's Patreon exclusives. If you guys want to be part of our Patreon community, we would love to have you. It's patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. It helps us bring the show to you every week without our amazing patrons. Patrons? That's the word. Patrons. We wouldn't be here. So thank you so much for everyone who is contributing. We love you. Alexa Ray, where can people find you these days?
You can find me on the internet everywhere.
Could you be a little bit more specific?
Twitter at Alexa Ray C. I'm at Alexa Ray on Instagram. I keep getting tagged by rando people who are trying to tag there's a porn star that shares a name as me. And she didn't get the at Alexa Ray, and I keep getting tagged, and people are trying to tag her.
Use it.
Yeah, they are.
All press is good press.
Stop tagging me. I am not no. Also, you can go to Amazon.com and type my name, buy my book. Thanks.
You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Am I missing anything? At Blonde Nerd and blondenerd.com.
Yeah, you had the ability to get your name everywhere.
My name is not Blonde Nerd.
Well, your branding name.
I know, because
Shut it.
you're going to tell your Salty Steimer story
No,
about how some
you
German
can find,
guy...
yeah, but I'm Kay Steimer on Instagram, Steimer everywhere else.
How dare they?
Lovely. The best place. The best place to follow me is at Andrea Renee on Twitter. That's where I put the bulk of my updates. You can also watch me with the Kind of Funny folks on Kind of Funny Games Daily. That is, I'm there twice a week. You can get that on Twitch or on youtube.com/Kind of Funny Games. We also would love it if you could subscribe to What's Good Games podcast on podcast services. Again, I mentioned that at the top of the show, and I'm going to mention it again at the bottom. It just takes a second. Even if you don't listen to the show audio only, if you watch the video, it would really help us out. So thank you once again. That's going to do it for us. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you next week.